Hi grade 11. In today's video we are going to do a manufacturing, which is also known as a cost accounting. So in today's video we are going to do a question paper that was written last year around August. So it was a common test. So please make sure that you watch the entire video so that you can understand step by step. Alright, let's look at the question paper that I have for today's lesson. Okay, so the question paper that we have on the first required, they said that we have to complete the following account in the general ledger of Naidu Lighting for the year end 28 February 2022. Okay, then they said show the calculation in a bracket so that the part mark can be awarded. So you have to make sure that you show all the calculations. All right, so 2.1.1, they say that you have to prepare a work in progress stock, which is 10 marks. 2.1.2, you have to prepare a finished goods stock, and 2.1.3, you have to prepare a factory overhead cost. All right, so guys, as you know that the first account that we have to do, it was supposed to be a direct material, but in this case it was not required for us to prepare a direct material, because when we deal with manufacturing, it's a process which we have to deal with the step by step from the purchase of material until we produce the finished goods. All right, so number one, they say that we have to prepare a work in progress stock. So it won't be possible for us to prepare a work in progress without a balance of factory overhead costs. So we have to make sure that we must first start with factory overhead account. So this is the account that I drafted on the board that we are going to start with. All right, so I already listed the indirect cost that we have, or is also known as factory overheads. So I listed them, the one that we have on this question paper. So we are going to do a transaction one by one, then we apply the calculations. Then after that we will go back to our work in progress, then we're gonna do a finished goods stock. All right, let's take the information that we have. The owner Geoff Naidu is concerned with the escalating cost of raw materials. Okay, and they said give one advice on how to reduce the cost in future. Okay, so this was a 2 marks, which you have to give at least a one reason why, how the owner can reduce the cost in future. So it's very simple. Number one, you can suggest that the owner must negotiate the price with the supplier, or the other option, the owner can check the other suppliers whether the price and choose the better price than the one that is dealing with right now. So you can explain any valid reason, as long as it's reasonable and it makes sense, you're gonna get that 2 marks. All right, then the information that we have, number A, is balance on 1 March. So on 1 March in our case is our opening, is the beginning of our financial year. Okay, then number B, we have the following stock item we purchased during the year end 28 February 2022. So this is the item that has been purchased during the year. Okay, we have raw material, which is not going to form part of this, and we also have consumable store. Okay, but consumable store, we know that is indirect cost, which means that it's gonna form part of factory overhead. Okay, the one that we are reading on this table is consumable store that has been purchased during the year. So which means that in this case we have to open a bracket. All right, so before you record the one that has been purchased, you must check opening balance and closing balance. In case of opening balance and closing balance, you know that opening balance you must add, closing balance you have to subtract. All right, so let's take on number A, if we have consumable stock. Yes, we have it, amount of 8,000. Okay, amount of 8,000, which we are going to add with the one that we have been purchased of 52,250. 52,250. Then after that, we check if we have any closing balance of consumable store. Okay, let's go down. We're gonna find them at the last transaction. Okay, yes, we have a consumable store, a closing balance of 10,600. Closing balance, we subtract 10,600. Okay, then after that we close a bracket, then we calculate and get the answer of 49,650. Simple as that. So it's 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, and 1 mark, which means that it's 4 marks. So it's very simple and straightforward. Okay, now let's go and check other indirect cost or factory overheads. Okay, let's proceed to number C. Number C, they said the business currently had 1,560,000 invested in equipment. So in other words, we have equipment that is costing 1,560,000, and depreciation is calculated according to fixed installment. It's a straight line method. Okay, then they said the rate is 15%, and the 90% of all equipment is used in the factory. So which means that we have to calculate only 90% because they said 90% belong to factory and the other 10% does not belong to a factory. Okay, so how are we going to calculate this? Very simple. We take our 1,560,000 multiplied by the rate of 15%. Then after that, remember they said it's only 90% multiplied by 90% that belong to a factory. Okay, then after that you have to calculate and get the answer of 210 and how much? And 600 and 600. Simple as that. Okay, now let's proceed to another one. Number D, they said that 28,000 was paid for factory maintenance for the year, and further 13,000 is owed for repairs done to a machine in the factory on 28 February 2022. Alright, so remember we have a accrual accounting principle which states that, or matching concept on your level, okay, under a gap principle, which states that we have to make sure that we record the balance for the whole year or for 12 months. So in this case, they say that 28,000 for factory maintenance has been paid. 28,000. And then we have another balance which has not yet paid. We apply the same principle that we do when we prepare income statement. If something is not paid, we go and add. Okay, then it's gonna be plus 13,000. Okay, then if you calculate all this, you are going to get a balance of 41,000 rand. 41,000 rand. Okay, now let's go to number E. 420 was paid for water and electricity. Yes, we know that water and electricity belong to factory maintenance. Okay, but we know that some water and electricity can be used for admin or for sales department. Okay, let's read the transaction into detail. 420 was paid for water and electricity during the financial year. This cost must be shared in a ratio of 4:1 between the factory, admin, and sales department respectively. Alright, so in total we have a ratio of 6 because we have 4, 1, and 1, which means that in this case we are looking for only a factory because we are preparing for factory. We are not preparing for admin or sales department. So what do? We open a bracket. We said 420 multiplied by 4 of factory out of 6. Why we assume that 4 is for factory? Because the first ratio is 4 and the first department that they wrote is factory, which means that number 1 belongs to number 1, number 2 belongs to number 2, number 3 belongs to number 3. Simple as that. Okay, then we have to calculate this and get an amount of 280,000. Okay, then let's proceed and check another transaction. Transaction number F. Rent is allocated according to the floor space used by each department. Then the factory comprises of 600 square meter, while the office and sales department combined use 200 square meter. Okay, then the rental amount paid for the entire premises from 1 March 2021 until 31 January 2022 was amount of 176,000. The property has been occupied since 2019. Okay, let's start with the first issue. The first issue is that we have to check our factory amount, which is 600 square meter out of how many square meters. The other department hold 200, which means that the total is 800. Okay, which means that we are going to say amount multiplied by 600 of factory over total of 800. Okay, but now the question is, which amount are we going to use? 176,000? No, we are not going to use only 176,000. We have to say 176,000 plus, remember, they give us an amount of 176,000 which is up to January, which means that February is not yet counted. Remember, our financial year is ending 28 February, which means that there is 1 month that we have to add. How are we going to determine that amount? This 176,000 is for 11 months, which means that you have to divide 176,000 by 11 and you will get amount of, let me calculate. You will get amount of 16,000. Okay, this is the one that you have to add so that it will give you a 12 months. Okay, then after that, when you get total of this, you say multiply by 6/8. Okay, and you will get amount of how much? You will get amount of 144,000. Okay, you will get amount of 144,000. Very simple. Okay, then let's proceed to number G. Insurance of administration department was 12,450. This amount to 15% of the total insurance for the business. A further 10% of total insurance is allocated to the sales department, with the remainder being proposed to a factory. All right. So how are we going to deal with this transaction? Let's first understand the statement. The statement says that this amount of 12,450 is 15% of administration department, which means that the other percentage is the one that belong to a factory and a sales department. But they said a 10% is for what? Is for sales department, which means that 25% is the one that does not belong to, a factory overhead. All right, but now we have to determine 100% minus 15% of what? Of admin, and another minus 10% of sales department. We left with 75%, which means that a 75% is the one that belongs to a factory. Okay, now when we calculate, we're going to say insurance. We're going to say insurance amount is how much? Is 12,000 and 450. Okay, and we multiply by what we are looking for. We are looking for a 75%, and what we have, this amount they said is 15%. Okay, then after that you will get an amount of 62,250. Okay, a simple, very simple. All right, then the next one, let's check if we have any other transaction. Okay, we're gonna check a salaries for factory managers. Okay, number 8, a gross annual salary wage bill for the business is made up as follow. Okay, we have sales for admin manager, which does not belong here. We have a sales manager, it does not belong here, and we have a factory manager. Yes, it does belong here, which means that we have to say 220,000, and we multiply by, okay, sorry, we have to read further so that we check. Okay, 220 is annual salary. Then after that we read the information. All managers are entitled to patient contribution of 1,500 per manager and per month, which means that 1,500 we have to convert it into a year by multiplying 1,500 by 12. Okay, this will give us 18,000. We add it. Then after that we read the further transaction. All employees receive 1% contribution toward unemployment insurance fund, which means that we said 220,000 and we multiply by 1%, which is going to give you 2,200. Okay, then this one is for contribution, we add it as well. Okay, then after that you will get amount of 240 and 200. All right, then let's check if we have any other omitted. Okay, we record all of them. All right, then after that guys, we have to make sure that we totalize this side, and this side is always equal to this side, which means that the balance that we are going to get here, you just transfer it to finished goods and write into a total as well. All right, let's add this all. Then we will get the amount of 1,027,700. Okay, even this side we're gonna write the same, 1027,700, 1027,700. Then you will be done with factory overhead, which contain a 20 marks on this question paper. Okay, then let's proceed. Number I, they said a total sales for the year is amounted 9 million. Of course, it does not belong to a factory overhead. Okay, now we are done with this part, which means that now we can go back and prepare work in progress as well as a finished good. Okay guys, let's continue. So I drafted two accounts that we also required to prepare. Then the first one, it was work in progress. The second one is finished goods. The third one is the one that we already prepared. All right, if you still remember, we calculated the total of factory overhead, which was 1 million and 27,700. So we just transfer that total into our work in progress. Okay, we transfer it as it is, simple as that. Okay, now let's go back to our balances. Guys, you have to make sure that you get all these balances because it's copy and paste. So please never go wrong when it comes to balance. So the knowledge that you have to understand is that opening balance is always on the debit, closing on the credit, opening on the debit, closing on the credit side. So this is free 4 marks, guys, in this case. Okay, let's draft this balance. The balance for the first account, which is work in progress, is 180, 900. Okay, and opening balance for the other account of finished goods is 230,000. Okay, now let's go and check our closing balances. Closing balances for work in progress, we have 230. And for other account, we have a 350. A 350,000. All right. So remember, guys, on the transaction number I, they said that the total sales for the year end 28 February 2022 amount to 9,491,337, and they said the business apply a markup of 30% in all items produced, which means that in this case we are able to calculate our cost of sales. All right, let's do this. I will tell you the reason why we are starting in this account in this case. Okay, let's say it's 9,491,000. Okay, and 937, and we multiply by 100 over 130. Very simple. Very simple. Okay, if you do all this calculation, you will get amount of 7,301,000. Okay, and 490 and 490. Very simple, which means that because we don't have anything on the credit side, we can calculate this side and get the total of 7,651,000 and 490. If you just add these two, you will get this amount, which means that it will also come on this side, 7,651,490. Now we have a work in progress. Remember, in other cases, you will find that this work in progress, we have to finish everything and get it here. So, but in this case, guys, the reason why we are starting here is because we never see any transaction related to direct labor, which means that we have to get it as a balancing figure, which means that we start from the bottom to top. Okay, we say this amount minus this, it will give us this one. Okay, let's say 7 million minus 230, which is going to give us amount of 7,421,000, 7,421,000 and 490 and 490. Okay, remember, guys, when we deal with a ledger account, once you get a balance on the debit and credit, you have to make sure that you do a balancing figure, which means that this 350, which we balance with it, a closing balance, we have to do it a balance brought down, okay, of 350. You just copy it. There's a mark here. Make sure that you don't forget this part. Even when we come here, this balance, we're gonna go down with it of 280. Okay, you just paste it, and when it comes to balance brought down again, you just paste it as it is. Very simple, very simple. Okay, now let's proceed. Now, because we have this amount of work in progress, which means that we know that work in progress was taken this side, which means that we're just gonna take it and say 7,421,490. Okay. Remember, I said that a direct labor is the one that we are going to do as a balancing figure, but a raw material or direct material, we are going to do a calculation because we have that information. Okay, let's check information number B. We have a raw material purchase, and remember, raw material we also have opening balance. Okay, which means that in this case we can open a bracket. Opening balance we always add. It's 550. It's 550,000 plus purchase of how much? Purchase of 6,325,000. Okay, after that we also have to read information. Okay, under information they said that included in the cost of raw material above are 15,000 rechargeable solar battery as a cost of 260 each of euros. Ne? Okay, and these batteries have been fully paid and they are currently in transit from Germany. They are expected to arrive in Durban in April. Remember, our year is ending February, and they say they will arrive after reporting period, which means that they were not supposed to be recorded, which means that we have to go and subtract them. Okay, now we have to know how much are we going to subtract. When they proceed, they said 1 euro of the current is equal to 17 rand 29, which means that we have to convert that amount into rand. Okay, let me just show those calculations here. It's 15,000 of item multiplied by 2 rand, 260 of euros, sorry, not rand. Okay, and after that we multiply by 17 rand and 29 cent. Okay, which is going to give us an amount of let me calculate. It's gonna give us amount of 674 minus 674 and 310. Okay, then after that, the last one, of course, we have to subtract the closing balance, which is 485,000 minus 485,000. You have to make sure that you show all this calculation because you are going to earn marks per each amount. Even to show this calculation, you also have to make sure that you show them, please. Okay, if you calculate this total, you are going to get an amount of, let me check, 5,715 and 690. Okay, now because we are done with raw material, which means that we have to get a total this side and we transfer it to this side, and then the direct labor, we're going to get it as a balancing figure. Okay, let's check our balancing figure. Total this side is going to give us 7,651 and 490, which is going to come this side as well. Okay, then after that, you just take this amount and subtract everything that we have, and you will get this as a balancing figure. Okay, then our balancing figure will be 727 and 200, just like that, simple as that. So that's how you should treat this procedure under this question paper. But on other question paper, you will find that you have to calculate your direct labor, which means that you will start from top and going down. All right, so I hope you have learned something, guys. Let me check. All right, let me check if we have any other required on this question paper. Okay, that was the only required, guys. So I'm gonna do another part 2 for the similar questions, which of course we are going to prepare a raw material account and calculation of direct labor. So please make sure that you subscribe and like this video so that they will notify you when I upload a part 2. See you on the next one. Done. Yo, way.